I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Tug of War. And that is because we are having a little tug of war in the heavens among the planets, and they can be setting up sort of resistance to your success. And so that's a shame, because there are really 5 wonderful planets, all in a grand trine in the practical, hardworking earth signs. And that should spell success just by itself, because today we have the Sun and Venus in Virgo, and they are trining the Moon today, which is exalted in Taurus, along with Uranus in Taurus, which is retrograde. So that's a trine of the lights. That's very positive. And then those 4 planets are also trining Pluto, which is retrograde in Capricorn. So things that involve your career, or your job and your health, and your mental attitude, or your investments, or your retirement plans. All of those things are ruled by the 3 earth signs, Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn. And they have 5 great planets in them. So that should be working out for you. But there is still a tug of war going on among the planets. And that can set up resistance not only to your success, but it can be frustrating, because actually the planets are fighting each other. And so we sort of have to go along with it right now. And that is because there are 4 planets in the mutable signs, and they're all in a harsh T-cross. And so that wonderful Sun and Venus in Virgo, which is part of the grand trine in earth signs, is actually being opposed by Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune is the only planet that's at home in the sign it rules. So it's very strong there, even though it's retrograde. So since these planets are in opposition, it means they're sort of not connecting with each other. And so in your tug of war, you can be forced to choose between reality and the demands of your job or your career, and what you wish you were doing instead, which may involve the sign of Pisces, which rules dreams and hopes and wishes. But the reason why this fighting can set up resistance to your success is because there is another planet that is causing a lot of problems with these good planets, and it's that Mars is in Gemini now. Gemini is a mutable sign as well, and it is a double-bodied sign. It rules the sign of the twins. But it also rules communication and easy transitional change. It rules the public, the media. It rules buying and selling and advertising and marketing, and anything where you are able to show some versatility or some flexibility, because Gemini is a very flexible sign. But that Mars is a planet that rules war and aggression and jealousy, hate, and greed. Oops. And it is in Gemini, squaring that Neptune in Pisces. It's going to stay like that until March of 2023. And that is why, since Pisces rules a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes that we don't all know about, it can indicate that there is a lot of difficulty now in knowing who to trust. I mean, should you believe the fairy tale, or should you believe the facts, or what other people are saying? Is it all hype? Is it all media publicity, or is it for real? We're all going to have to ask ourselves those questions as we go on, all over the winter and into the spring. And then that Mars in Gemini is also squaring, unfortunately, Venus in Virgo. When Mars and Venus square or oppose each other, it means that men and women are not getting along, or our relationships could be a little rocky. So do you see where that tug of war comes in? And then Mars is also squaring the Sun in Virgo. And Virgo rules facts and details and reality. And so that Mars can be saying, well, who are you going to believe? Me or the facts and the details? So that is why you might have to take a little longer to reach success in your goals. And at least during this next week, there is going to be a tug of war between things that are either true or not true. And you're going to have to take a little extra time or a little time out to think things over, or maybe research your answers a little more thoroughly before you believe them, or whatever other people are saying to you. So that's how that tug of war can go. And what that means, particularly since there's also 6 retrograde planets right now going backward in the heavens, it means we all have to go back and we have to review perhaps our past mistakes so that we can learn from them, or our failures, once again, so that we can learn from them. Or we might want to review some lost opportunities, something that came up at another time in our life and, nothing gelled, nothing worked for one reason or another. So you could have a chance with 6 retrograde planets all going backward to really think things over right now and sort of sort things out for a while. And so in a way that could be a good thing. Because in this tug of war, if you really don't know who to believe, or you're not convinced that what you're being told is really the truth or not, then you can take time out to think a lot of things over. I mean, you may as well. So the question remains, who's going to win in this tug of war? Well, it's a tug of war between the past and the present. And between, things that have gone before and what you're looking for now in the future. And now means, what are you going to do today? What are you planning for tomorrow? And what is that based on? It can be that you have learned from your past mistakes. Well, that's a good thing. Or it can be that you sort of want to go back and see if you could resurrect a lost opportunity. And you won't know till you try. And so this is a time when the answer to who's going to win the tug of war is rather easy. And it is because we have to go back to the planets that are getting along. And there's a grand trine, as I mentioned, in the earth signs. And that is why you can win this tug of war if you have some sort of record now, a proven record of dedicated accomplishment. In other words, your work record, or your record in the community, or if you have community recognition in one way or another, some awards or accolades that you have received, along with a really good track record or proof of excellence in your job. Now that's going to win the tug of war. I mean, because you might be thinking to yourself, if the tug of war is between the past and the present, how many good things do I have going into the present? Well, you could have a really good track record of your work performance. You could have proof of that. And you could have some awards or accolades that the community has given you, so that they're recognizing your talent as well. And so that's a surefire good way to go ahead and beat this tug of war and go into your future with something solid to show for it. That could really help you. There is another grand trine also, and that grand trine is in the air signs. Now the air signs are very creative and conceptual, and they communicate a lot. And so what we've got now is that Mars in Gemini that is creating problems among the other mutable signs, but still Mars is in Gemini, all revved up. And it's an energetic planet, and it is trining Mercury, the planet of the mind, which rules Gemini, by the way, and Virgo. And that Mercury in Libra is retrograde. So you may want to go back and think about your partnerships and your legal dealings. But you could do that rather constructively because Mars is trining that Mercury right now. And Saturn in Aquarius is also trining Mercury in Libra, which means if you had some partnership or legal decisions that you had to make, you could get some good advice from older and wiser people or very experienced people that could really help you in some sort of partnership or legal negotiation. That would work out well for you. And the bonus here about the trine in the air signs is that Mars, a malefic planet, which is in Gemini, is trining Saturn, another malefic planet, in Aquarius, the sign of the future. And Saturn is retrograde. You may have to restructure your future plans. But as I said, you could get good advice from highly respectable people or knowledgeable people. And Mars is such an energetic planet, you could decide, once you've got the facts down, or you've got your legal or your partnership issues sort of settled, you could really go forward very quickly on something else that you want to do. And so this is a good time. You can win a tug of war if you communicate clearly and seek good advice, or if you have a good work record, or you have some recognition by the community of your efforts. That will assure your future success. So yes, you can run into roadblocks, but on the other hand, think about what you've got going for you, not against you, and start using that. I mean, everybody has done something pretty well, or everybody has talent. And so, go for the good stuff. Go for what you're proud of. And use that to go into your future. And don't let anything stop you. Mars and Saturn, 2 of the 3 malefic planets, are trining each other. That doesn't happen very often, but it means you can get, they're working together, which is rather rare. But you may as well take advantage of that. This is a good time to restructure your future plans. This is a good time to communicate. It's a good time to think over your partnership issues or your legal obligations. And if you've already got a sterling track record, good for you. So I hope you use it to your advantage. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you what it means is that you may want to go ahead and concentrate more on financial issues. And that is because the moon is exalted in Taurus, and it's with Uranus, a planet of sudden volatile change, in Taurus as well. And they're right ahead of your sun sign, Aries. And you have Jupiter in your sun sign. It's retrograde, meaning that you've got to try a new beginning. Not the second time around, you have to try another new beginning because perhaps the first one didn't quite work out. So go ahead and do that. But you may be concentrating on how much something is going to cost, or what you can do with your investments to be able to pay for something that you want to begin. So you just have to concentrate on that. Remember, there's a grand trine in the earth signs. Now you should try to be real practical right now, Aries, about how something's going to be paid for, or what costs you are willing to assume as you begin something new. You're fully capable of looking all that over as you look over your investments, or if you're thinking of the salary that you get at work, or wanting a better salary, maybe looking for a better job, one that pays better, you could do that too. So the tug of war may not exactly affect you, since yours is a cardinal sign, and there aren't a lot of planets in cardinal signs right now. Mercury in Libra is opposing that Jupiter in your sign, which means you may have some problems in legal or partnership issues that need further clarification. And so you need to concentrate a little bit on that. And then Pluto in Capricorn is squaring your sign as well. It's been doing that for years, and it's going to continue until 2025. And so what that means is there can be changes in management or in policies that would not necessarily favor you, Aries. And that's why maybe this is a time when you just need to think about how to pay for what you want, and then you can go and do it. So good luck. Okay. What does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, your sign has the exalted moon in it, along with Uranus, and they are both trining the Sun and Venus, your own ruler, Taurus, which are in Virgo. And together those 4 planets, which includes the lights, are trining the sign of Pluto in Capricorn as well. So remember that people who have a strong work record of accomplishment and who have some sort of community recognition or awards or accolades for their strong work record are going to have their future assured. And that could be you, Taurus. You could just go right ahead in your career, or you could have some more money coming in, and it's possible that you may want to buy and sell some property. Your sign rules expensive real estate. And then in one way or another, you may be able to afford that right now, or you may decide to put aside a little bit more money so that you can afford that in the future. So that could work out real well for you, Taurus. But overall, it is wonderful that the Sun and Venus in Virgo, which rules your health, are trining your Sun. Because Taurus, yours is a fixed sign, and fixed signs don't change very often. They stick to what they believe in. And so you have to be careful as you go forward that you are in the best of health. Because as we age, good health becomes more and more important. And you don't want to beat yourself up too much. Instead, you need to take care of yourself better. And you can do that, Taurus, particularly right now. And so just watching small things. Virgo rules nutrition. It rules your diet. And you have your ruler there in Virgo and the Sun, trining the moon and Uranus in your sign. That is wonderful. There's also the possibility that a change in a policy or in management at work could benefit you. Maybe it was one that should have come before and didn't, but perhaps it's in the future and can really come your way. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time, Gemini, since yours is a mutable sign, that you can be involved in a tug of war. And that is because you could almost be caught in the middle of a tug of war. Remember, that tug of war is between the past and the present. And it doesn't have to be involving you as if you were initiating it, but you could be greatly affected by whether people around you are living in a dream world, following a fairy tale, or if they're really being realistic and practical now. And there you would be with a lot of energy and having good ideas and wanting to, talk to everybody about them. But some people can be drifting off in their dream world, and other people can be so concentrated on facts and details that they could miss the big picture. And so this is a time, Gemini, when, remember, in order to find out who's going to win the tug of war, we have to go to where planets are cooperating with each other, not fighting with each other. And it's lucky that Mars in your sign is an air sign, because there is a grand trine in the air signs. Okay, so you've got to forget all the other things that you don't have any control over that can be causing you a little grief right now, Gemini, and try to tune them out. Because instead, Mars in your sign is trining Mercury in Libra. You can work out a partnership issue or a legal issue that should have been worked out before, but you have the energy to do that. And so that's favorable because Mars is trining Mercury, the planet of communication, and Mercury is your own ruler. So your own ruler is trining your sign. That's a little extra plus for you, Gemini. And then both of these planets, Mars in your sign and Mercury in Libra, are also trining or being trined by Saturn in Aquarius, which is retrograde. But there's the grand trine. And two of the three planets that are involved in it are malefic planets, Mars in your sign and Saturn in Aquarius. But they trine each other. I'm telling you, Gemini, you got to take advantage of that, because it isn't too often that the planets that can get you in trouble are actually backing you up. But that's what they're doing right now. You just have to be careful not to say too much. Because with Mars in your sign, you really want to go at it. And so you need to wait on other people who might be a little bit slower. Maybe they don't think as fast as you do. But it's possible that they have more experience than you. And so they don't have to say as much. They've been through a few failures, or they've made a few mistakes in their life. And, Saturn is the planet of time. And so they can learn, they've already learned from that. And that's why they may not have much to say, but when they do say something, it's going to work out real well for you, Gemini. So, try not to be impatient right now, just because other people are not up to your mental speed. And instead, try to be just attentive to people whose endorsement you probably need, who are older and wiser or more powerful than you, and you more or less, try not to say too much, listen a little bit more, and then they'll come forward when they feel like that, and they'll do you a world of good. And this will really help you out. So all I'm saying is, yes, you have the energy to climb to the top of a mountain right now, but you wouldn't have any followers coming with you if you move too fast. So don't do that. Pace yourself a little bit, Gemini. You don't have to rush. You have fantastic backup from the planets that are trining each other in the air signs. So I would take advantage of that. But they don't work the way you do. So you have to sort of wait and let them catch up. And that way you'll get a lot of cooperation. And that's what you need. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. This is a time when there are not very many planets in the water signs. There's only Neptune in Pisces. But that Neptune is very strong. Remember, it's the only planet that is at home in the sign it rules right now. The other very strong planet is the exalted moon in Taurus. But Neptune is still the only one at home in its own sign. So as the ruler of it, it is very strong. Now it's also retrograde. And because it's the only planet in a water sign, you more or less have to follow along, Cancer, if you want to sort of win the tug of war right now. And that means, since Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes, you may have to go behind the scenes and check out people's stories. Remember, one of the big problems that we're going to have between now and March of 2023 is that Mars will be continually squaring Neptune in Pisces. And that means we won't know who to trust. Who is telling tall tales and who is telling the truth? Or what are the facts and what's the hype? We're all going to have to take a little extra time to go and try to figure out what the real truth is about something. Well, actually, Cancer, if you go behind the scenes, that Neptune in Pisces is going to help you a lot. because it trines your sun. And that simply means this could be a very good time for you to do a little detective work, Cancer, and go behind the scenes and see what people are doing, or ask someone else to do that for you and report back to you, so that you know what's really going on and it's being corroborated by a third party who can be an observer. And so that way you would know, first of all, if somebody's telling you the truth or not. And one of the kind of things that Pisces rules is not just deceptions, but omissions. And so somebody could be very clever about saying that they're telling you the truth, because they are, but they just don't happen to be telling you the whole truth. They may have left out a few things, and maybe that's what you need to find out too. So I wouldn't believe everything on the surface right now, Cancer. I would do a little digging, just so that you can take advantage of Neptune and Pisces trining your sun. So you will learn a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes. And you may or may not want to do anything about that, but it's good to have the facts. It's good to have the truth. And this is a time when we don't know if we can trust people, so it's good that you would take a little extra time to find out who you can trust. And it might surprise you about who you cannot trust. So I know it's a little bit hard to look for the omissions, because they're not apparent, but maybe you should. Instead of believing part of the story, you should take a little extra time to find out the whole story, because you're in a very good position to find it out. And so it could be a quiet time for you, but you could be very busy behind the scenes, and you would know who to go to. And that will help you a lot in the end, and particularly in solving any partnership or legal issues. And the reason why is that Mercury in Libra is squaring your sun, and Pluto in Capricorn is opposing your sun. So there could be policy or management changes. There could be legal decisions being made. Maybe you're not getting the whole story on all of that. And that's why you should go behind the scenes and really look for all the facts, not just the ones you've been told on the surface. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, yes, there's a tug of war going on for everybody, and that tug of war is between the past and the present, or it is between the mistakes or the failures that you've had, or the lost opportunities, and the plans you have for the future. Well, with Jupiter in Aries trining your sun, even though it's retrograde, it is a stabilizing force for you, Leo, because it is trining your sun. It's the only planet in a fire sign right now. And since Aries rules new beginnings, it would be to your advantage to consider a totally new beginning that it doesn't exactly fit in with what you had planned, but it might not be too far off that. And it might be something that you could adapt to. Or it might be something that is very appealing to you at this time. Okay, now, why would this time be better? Because throughout the whole summer, there were 3 malefic planets in the fixed sign, and yours is a fixed sign, that were all squaring and opposing each other. And that could have given you some financial headaches. And so, particularly with higher costs. And so, this is a time when whatever finances you have been able to get together could be used for something new that wasn't exactly what you had planned, but can be just right for now. And what's the difference between now and this summer is that you don't have the pressure from all the malefic planets in the fixed signs. They're not all in Taurus and Aquarius anymore. Uranus is in Taurus, that's squaring your sun. Saturn is in Aquarius, it's opposing your sun. but they're under good aspects by themselves. Aquarius is an air sign. There's a grand trine in air signs. Taurus is an earth sign. There's a grand trine in the earth signs. Do you see what I mean? Things have changed. They're not so threatening for you now. And that's why you may want to think of a completely new beginning. One that is more appealing to you now, Leo. And I would say that you may have even had that that idea or something related to it earlier in the year or earlier in your life. And maybe as you're reviewing past mistakes or failures or lost opportunities, you may, dust off your memory and decide, oh, this might be a good idea to try this now. And just give it a go. Because you don't have the pressure you used to have. Not this summer. This summer there was a lot of pressure on you, but not so much now. So I wish you the best of luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. Well, Virgo, remember, the answer to who's going to win the tug of war can be seen from the planets that are cooperating with each other in the earth signs and in the air signs. And yours is an earth sign. And it is beautifully aspected right now. First of all, you have the Sun and Venus in your sign. You could be wanting to look your best right now. And you could be sort of in a romantic mood, which is nice. And you could just plain be in a good mood now, feeling better. Your health could be better as well. But today, the Sun and Venus in your sign are trining the exalted moon and Uranus, which is retrograde in Taurus. So there is a trine of the lights going on among the earth signs, and that is very beneficial, particularly since the moon is exalted in Taurus. So you could have your mind on some high-priced real estate or of an investment that has really increased in value. And that would be nice, particularly if you thought about selling it, because Pluto is in Capricorn, and it too is trining the Sun and Venus in your sign, and it's trining the Moon and Uranus in Taurus. So if you have a good work record, and Virgo rules work, and if you're feeling in better health now, which would be great, and if you had some sort of accolade or award or community recognition for your efforts, then your future is assured, Virgo. Why? Because you have the proof that you know what you're doing. And that's all you need. You have the proof. Well, this can put you in a good mood because your sign rules facts and details. And you tend to stand behind them. And that's because they represent the truth. And so I would say that you might want to look for some sort of advancement, or else it could just be knocking on your door pretty soon, Virgo. And that would be very good for you. It would indicate a financial increase, but also an increase in your reputation or your stature in the community, which would be good. And it could be the result of some management change or policy change in an organization. I mean, maybe you just had to wait till that happened. But you're looking at a very bright future, Virgo. And it's all based on your own record, your own track record of accomplishment. That's why your future is assured. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. Well, Libra, you're lucky too because yours is an air sign. And there is a grand trine in the air signs. And so, Libra, even though Mercury, the planet of the mind, is retrograde in your sign, meaning that you have to go back and you have to reconsider the terms of a partnership or of a legal document or agreement, and you have to ask yourself, well, is this really fair to me? Because your sign rules fairness and balance. And so all you want is fairness. I mean, you're not asking for everything. You're just asking that things can be worked out equitably. And they can be as long as you are sort of up on your reading you need to make sure that you've read all the fine print on something, Libra, because you might have skipped something that's pretty important. So I would go back and I would check anything that you have signed or anything you're thinking of signing. And before you do that, just make sure that you understand everything. And it's a tricky world right now, and economies are softening. There's plenty of economic problems around, and that's why you need to be a little more alert before you sign anything. And if you have a question about something, go and ask somebody else for advice. You would get great advice right now, and that is because Saturn is in Aquarius, trining your sun, and that Saturn represents experience. And Mars in Gemini is also trining your sun. So you could even, Gemini rules part-time things. You could even work out some sort of agreement that is a step agreement, meaning that you take one step and everybody agrees on it, and if that works out, then you can take a final step. It doesn't really tie you down too much, because if the first step doesn't work, then nothing's going to work. And so that doesn't tie you up too much. But if the first step does work, then you can feel more confident about going forward and maybe signing something or agreeing to a partnership issue on the whole deal. So just taking one step at a time and sort of trying it out, and then seeing what comes next, and insisting on balance and fairness. That can work out really well for you right now. Remember, your sign is so lucky that 2 of the 3 malefic planets are in air signs, and they're both trining your sun. So do your homework, Libra. You won't be sorry. Go forward armed with the facts, and be willing to take a partial step forward, and conditional upon the success of that, then you could make a full commitment. And I think that is that's a way of you being very careful and sort of making sure things are going to work first. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. This is a time, just like it is for Cancer, when there's only one planet in a water sign right now, and it's Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune is retrograde, but it is the ruler of the sign, and it's very strong there. And so it is an indication that if you're caught in some sort of tug of war right now, particularly about money, since yours is a financial sign, then it would pay to go behind the scenes and check out what people are telling you, and also look for what they haven't told you. Look for the omissions. Ask yourself, okay, this all sounds great, but what's the rest of the story? Because you're going to need to look for that, Scorpio. And of course, your sign is, there are 2 signs that are very good for being a detective. And one of them is your sign, Scorpio, and the other is Capricorn. They both make the best detectives. And so this is a time when you should make sure you've just got all your information lined up, and that you understand it. And some of it could be confidential information. It might be things that other people don't know. But if it's helping you make a decision, or it's helping you decide, on a plan for your future, then it's good to have as much information as you can get. But the problem is, with Mars squaring Neptune in Pisces, and also squaring the Sun and Venus in Virgo, nobody is too sure that they have all the facts. And they're also not sure that they're all true. And so that's what you need to check on. No matter how much information you have, are you sure it's all accurate? And you wouldn't be sure unless it was double checked. And because some people just sort of naturally will make a mistake. They're not doing it to hurt anybody, but they could make a mistake. And before you make a big decision, you should try to make sure you've got all the right information. And so you may need to find some confidential information. And not that you're going to tell anybody, but it's just helpful for you to know in order to have all the facts. And so if I were you, before you particularly got into any binding legal arrangement, you should sort of, whoever you're signing a contract with, like a business contract, you should really check them out first. Get some background information on them. Search for more details before you sign anything. Not because there's anything wrong with you or the deal, but you don't know that till you check it out. And so you should be extra careful about that. You will get help from behind the scenes, from sources that other people don't even realize you know. So I would take advantage of that right now, Scorpio, and just do a little nosing around on your own very quietly. It could really help you in the end. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. Well, there's only one planet in a fire sign right now, and it is Jupiter in Aries that's trining your sun, which is good, and Jupiter is retrograde. So your sign does have some support from that Jupiter, and that simply means that you may have to reconsider some kind of new beginning that you have been thinking about. Now, it can be that there are reasons why a new beginning doesn't quite get underway at the moment. And they are reasons that don't have anything to do with you, Sagittarius. There are reasons like, oh, it's not the right time of year, or the schedules have already been set, so they can't add anything new to it, to a schedule. So you'd have to wait a while. And so see, you're not responsible for that, but maybe you just didn't know what was going on, and you didn't know the arrangements that other people would have to make regarding a new beginning that you want to make. In other words, if you interact with somebody on a new beginning, you may not have interviewed them or talked with them enough to realize that they may be on a completely different schedule and they may have a completely different budget than anything that you're considering now. And the only way you're ever going to find that out is to go and interview with people or talk to people and look things up yourself. Luckily, Sagittarius, you have a fine mind. You can really look around in different areas for resource material that will help you make a decision of some sort. Mercury in Libra is sextiling your sun. And the air signs are well backed up. The fire signs aren't well backed up. You only have one planet. Well, at least you have one planet trining your sun. But the air signs and the earth signs have grand trines in them. That means there's 3 planets in the air signs, and there's 4 planets in the earth signs. That's 7 out of the 10 planets already that are all trining each other. And so, Sagittarius, I don't think that you should try to force a new beginning right now, mainly because I don't think that'll work. And the reason why is that you're not in control of the whole thing. You know, if you have to work with other people, then that does not necessarily mean you're running the whole show. Their ideas and their concerns and their budgets have to be considered as well. Remember, there's this tug of war going on. A tug of war is when 2 sides don't agree and somebody's trying to gain superiority. And that's not going to work. So we have to go on our strong track records of accomplishment, or we have to rely on the good advice and help and better communication with people. That's the trine in the air signs. And that's what you'll have to do, Sagittarius. So you can make headway, but it's going to be by talking to other people and working with other people right now. When will it get much easier for you? As soon as Mars stops opposing your sun sign, and that'll be March of 2023. And as soon as that planet moves out of the opposition to your sun, you're going to be able to go straight forward. But until then, it's a sort of a, 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of deal. But at least it is forward. And so you have to remember that. Things might not happen quite as quickly as you would like. The fire signs all like to move quickly. But they're still going to be going forward for you. So just remember that. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. You certainly benefit from the grand trine in the earth signs. All the earth signs do. And so that is because Pluto in your sign is beautifully trined by the Sun and Venus, the love planet, in Virgo. And Virgo rules our health and our jobs. And so you can be getting some very good news, some encouraging news about your job or your or a new career prospect, and certainly about your health. And so that's all to admit. There could even be a new love coming in your life, Capricorn, because that's what Venus rules too, romance. And then the moon, which is exalted in Taurus, along with Uranus in Taurus, are both trining your sun as well. Okay, so that's 5 planets in the earth signs, including the lights, that are all entwined to each other. And so, this is a time when you are able to take a step forward, Capricorn. And it could be something that you've been ready for a long time. And now it can go ahead. Remember, the way to beat the tug of war, the way to know that you're winning, is to bank on a steady record of your dedicated accomplishment in your career or in your work, and some community recognition, some awards or accolades that recognize your excellence. Well, all of that is possible, Capricorn, or it has been in the past. If you're retired, that probably, those benefits from a good work record could have accrued. And maybe your life is just great right now. But Capricorns live a very long time. So, even in retirement, you could have another career. And if you do, the possibilities for it advancing are looking real good right now, Capricorn. So I hope you pay attention to that. Even if you have not participated in an advancement yet, you can be thinking of an expansion somehow, and that expansion is probably going to happen. And that's an advancement. So, your life is going to open up, Capricorn. And I think you ought to get on it and try it right now, because you've got so many good planets in the earth sign supporting you. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when you can at last sort of feel as if you're in the right place at the right time. Oh, that hasn't happened in a long time. But Saturn is in your sign, and yes, it is retrograde, but it is very well backed up right now because yours is a fixed air sign, and the air signs have a grand trine in them. And so you could have been caught in a tug of war, even for a very long time, between the past and the present, or the past and the future, because your sign rules the future. And you could have been frustrated, thinking that, oh, things are holding me back and I can't make any headway here. But actually, nothing stops a fixed sign, Aquarius. And you know that because yours is a fixed sign. But this summer would have been rough. And that is because all three malefic planets, one of which is Saturn in your sign, were squaring and opposing each other, and that could have given you some grief, and that's over with now, okay? And there are two planets, malefic planets, squaring each other, but they've been doing that ever since Saturn entered your sign. Saturn in your sign has been getting squared by Uranus in Taurus. Now, the duration of their stays in one sign are very different. Saturn stays in a sign 2.5 to 3 years, or 2 to 2.5 years. So it's almost done in your sign, not quite, but it's been there for a couple of years. But Uranus stays in a sign for 7 years. Okay, so they're both slow planets, but Uranus is the slow one, really slow. And so these two malefic planets have been squaring each other, but just for the last couple of years for you, because Saturn wasn't there a couple of years ago. Now it has been. So you have been, you had to attend to some financial matters that were, you could almost say they were just a headache. But they're with you. You have to address them. You have to work with them somehow. But this summer it got even worse because Mars was in Taurus too. And so there really wasn't any way to get around the expensive way of life that inflation has imposed upon all of us. And, we've had to change the way we buy things because our money doesn't buy as much anymore. And so that would have affected you. But now, this tug of war between the past and the present is going to favor you, Aquarius. And the reason why is there's a grand trine in the air signs right now. And 2 of the 3 planets are the malefic planets. Well, now they're not bothering you. They're not squaring and opposing you. Mars in Gemini is trining Saturn in your sign. That is wonderful, not only for you, Aquarius, but the whole world. It does mean that things can be worked out, or people can be thinking of good solutions now. Maybe they're not trying them all, but they are thinking of them, which is wonderful, because that means we can restructure our future. And with Mercury in Libra also trining your sun now, it's you that can restructure your future. And that includes your partnerships, and that includes legal dealings. And Mercury is retrograde. I wouldn't do it while Mercury was retrograde. Just look over your legal dealings, and Mercury will go direct in 3 weeks, and see if all the terms are satisfactory to you. And in 3 weeks, if they're not, go and talk to somebody and get them to change them, because or amend them. That might be possible for you. So things are looking up now. The grand trine in air signs means that your luck has definitely changed. You're just in a much better place, and you could wonder how you got here. Well, I think it's just you survived. You just survived. And now you're in a better place. It's that other conditions around you have changed, and they benefit you more now. They support you more now. So, your future is looking better, Aquarius. Just wait till Mercury goes direct, and then go see somebody about legal terms if you're not happy with them, or partnership issues. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when the only planet at home in its sign is your ruler, Neptune, in your sign. And so it doesn't have any support. There's nothing in Cancer and there's nothing in Scorpio, but it is still very strong. And for instance, your sign sextiles the exalted moon and Uranus in Taurus. That's nice. That means that if you are interested in furthering your career, or you are looking for a way to make a little bit more money, or to sell an investment that could be worth more right now, you could do it, or you could make a good investment. But first, since Neptune is retrograde, you'd have to make sure that you had all your facts straight, Pisces. And that between now and March of 2023, that's going to be a little tough to do. It's going to take extra time. And the reason why is that Mars in Gemini is going to be squaring Neptune in your sign until March of 2023. So people are going to have a very hard time knowing who to trust. And so will you. And so Mars is not a friendly planet. It's a planet of aggression, war, jealousy, hate, and greed. And it's squaring your sign, Pisces. So from now until next spring, you have to sort of watch where you walk. You cannot take your safety for granted. And you also can't trust everybody. The problem is yours is a mutable sign. And the mutable signs are very tolerant. And they're willing to listen to whatever anybody has to say. And to consider other people's points of view. But don't stay too long at the fair, Pisces. This is a better time for you to think of what you want, and how to get there. And to put blinders on and kind of concentrate just on that. And to not believe everything unless you get it in writing. I just require that before you agree to anything. That it's in writing, dated and signed. Because that Mars is going to be squaring your sun, until springtime. And also you have to be very careful around anything that would constitute a situation where gang members could congregate. Because Mars in Gemini would be ruling gang members, rules youth. And so there could be a lot of trouble that way. So there's lots of things you need to be careful about right now, Pisces. But you still are very strong, and the strong planets in Taurus, which are part of a grand trine in the earth signs, do sextile your sun. So you could probably look over your investments and take advantage of them right now. That would work out well for you. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. You can subscribe to the show on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and you can read our blog on the website starborninstitute.org, and the blog always explains a little bit more about the theme of each week's show, and you can also see the show on the website as well. So I will be seeing you next week right here, and I'll send you the show on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. if you want to subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel. I'll see you then. Bye.